Good morning, Drawing 1. We're starting our Conte crayon drawing on the oyster colored paper. The paper has a rough surface to it, which allows you to layer pastels up fairly thickly. I noticed that from the bookstore they have put the price tag on the side that you're going to be drawing on, the rougher side. So that can, if you got your paper from the FCC bookstore, you know that that's the side you're actually going to do your drawing on. Just take the sticker off. And we're working with a small set of the Conte chalks that are in your kit that look like this. They're a little long, so I would break them into halves or smaller pieces like this. You have a black, brown, red, and white. We're going to treat the brown as a dark gray, the red as a medium gray, and then the white and black are your lightest and darkest tones. You can also get out your charcoal pencil. That would be good for detail. Your kneaded and your hard eraser and your clicky eraser might be useful. If you have trouble getting the darks dark enough, you could dip into your charcoal sticks, which will give you really, really rich blacks, but you should be able to get fairly dark with the Conte. And then you also have a white Rembrandt pastel in your set that is super, super soft and super white if you really want a bright white and you're having trouble getting that. So I would start with a little practice here of a ball just to show you how we're going to use the tones. I like to sketch with the white. I'm going to move my camera a little closer for you guys to see better. I like to sketch with the white because that's the easiest thing to erase. If I'm trying to draw a shape and I don't like the shape, I can easily erase white. The red or the brown or the black are a little harder to work with. I generally tend to do my mid-tones. So I'm just doing a little practice, imagining a sphere with light coming on the left side, dark shadow on the right. You'll notice that it's pretty bumpy. That's the tooth of the paper showing through, but when you blend it either with your finger or a paper towel, or you get enough chalk on the paper and it gets thicker, you'll start to see that texture go away and smooth out. So I'm laying on my brown, got my red base coat, I'm adding my white, and my black I save for last, because it's always easier to go darker if you need it, but it's a little more difficult to lighten up if you've gone too dark. You can see it smears and blends fairly easily. I could use my paper towel. I could also use my clicky eraser if I wanted to clean up an edge. And the only thing I feel like I'm lacking is I feel like the white could be a little bit brighter. So I'm going to come in. Don't be afraid to layer. Add another layer of chalk. That's what the paper is created for layering the chalks. Alright, I feel like I lost my red a little bit, so I'm going to add a second coat of red. You can go right on top of the brown dark tones. Alright, so that gives you a nice practice. I would do a little practice ball on the back side of your paper. I'm doing it on this front side so I don't have to flip my paper around, but if I were you and you've never used the chalks before, I would tend to want to do a little warm-up practice on the other side. And this is a project. We're creating a CD music cover, and we're working with Flickr. I put it on Blackboard for you. Pop onto Flickr, you'll see 9 images will pop up. Pick 1 or 2, you can change them, add things, combine them. If you don't see an image you like, just reload Flickr, you'll get another 9 images. And we're creating an image that we're gonna put on the paper, the oyster paper, full size. The image I'm working with today is the rabbit. And I found this neat piece of pottery with a pattern on it that I liked. And I'm gonna collage those. I'm gonna put the pottery underneath the rabbit as part of my design. So you can see I already started sketching out. I sketched out the rabbit here, and I already started shading. Again, sketched it out with the white first, and then I laid my base coat of red on. And it will have that bumpy surface until you get it thick enough or until you've blended it. And now I'm looking and I'm noticing that there's a dark shadow and there's a very dark shadow in here. So I'm going to layer in my brown. I notice there's a little bit of light on the back end around his leg there, and a little bit on this side. And I'm working with my paper towel, blending the tone. And I still see a lot of the color of the paper shining through, which this color paper we selected because it works well with these colors. So it's fine if the paper shines through. It's fine also if you end up layering the chalk so thickly that you barely see the paper. And I notice there's also a little bit of texture from his fur, depending upon what objects you're drawing on your project. But this object, the rabbit, has quite a bit of texture. I would save that for last. I would get the basic light and shadows down, and then I'll show you how to add the texture last. And you notice I've waited on my black for the very end to come in and add those final high contrast shadows. Sometimes the black can kind of dominate the color, which I feel like is what happened here. So what I'll do to calm down that black is I'll just throw another coat of brown or red right on top of it. So it keeps the darkness, but it warms up the black and integrates it, ties it into the rest of the drawing. Okay, so we've gotten this top part of the leg pretty nicely laid in with light and shadow. I'll save the foot and this lower leg for later because I want to show you this idea of laying in the fur. So to me it looks like there's small white lines indicating some lighter fur, but there's also in the shadow areas I can see darker lines, which I would do with either the black or you could do it with the brown, depending upon how dark you want that fur to be, the texture. And you're just building up the strokes, and then these you will not blend, you'll just leave them because you want them to demonstrate how textured the fur is. And you're just working to build up the tone and build up the texture. And then I lay in my background, whatever color. The photograph I have is pretty much a neutral color. But again, I don't want the black pottery background to dominate the rabbit, so I'm going to tone it down. Take some of the power away from it by adding a coat of the black and maybe adding a little bit of white. So it's more just grayed out, but it gives a nice backdrop. But it's not so harsh that it would just dominate. Okay, so that's that. Due in a week. I put the dates on Blackboard for you. Text me or email me if you have any questions, and have fun. This project's a chance for you guys to be creative, work with imagery that you want to draw, play around with this idea of collaging different images together, adding shapes from your imagination, from photographs that you've collected. It's a chance to get creative, but also learn how to work with color, limited palette color, and how to work with pastel chalks on a pastel paper. Okay, have fun.